Oh, baby.
Weight cutting is one of the biggest problems in combat sports. Severe dehydration, kidney failure, liver shutdown, fighters going blind in saunas. The human body wasn't designed to lose 20 or 30 pounds in a week, but fighters do it anyway, because being bigger than your opponent on fight night can mean the difference between winning and losing. Most UFC champions have been considered big for their weight class, and that size advantage helped them win gold. But sometimes the cut goes wrong. Fighters end up hospitalized, stripped to their belts, or stepping into the cage so depleted they can barely stand. Is it worth putting your life at risk to gain an advantage on fight night? Some fighters even argue that they should fight in their actual weight class, like the legendary Ricardo Arona, who refused to cut weight. January 24th, 2026 at UFC 324 in Las Vegas. Cameron Smotherman makes weight for his bantamweight fight against Ricky Tarcios, steps off the scale at 135.5 and collapses face first onto the stage. He hits his head hard and goes unconscious. Medical staff rush in and work on him for several minutes. They get him sitting up, try to walk him off stage, and he goes unconscious again. They have to carry him out. The fight gets canceled immediately and Smotherman goes to the hospital. CT scans come back clear and he gets released with a few stitches. He posts a video later saying he's okay. Here's the interesting part though. Smotherman claims he didn't even cut much weight for this fight. He was light or weak and says the collapse wasn't weight cutting related. They're running more tests to figure out what actually happened. Whether it was the cut or something else, watching a fighter collapse, going unconscious twice at weigh-ins is a reminder of how dangerous this sport can be before anyone even throws a punch. Yoel Romero, the Soldier of God, is known for two things: explosive knockout power and brutal weight cuts. In his second fight with Robert Whittaker at UFC 225, Romero looked like death on the scale. He initially weighed in at 186 pounds, 1 pound over the middleweight limit. The commission gave him time to cut more weight. Romero went back to his hotel room and tried to drop that final pound. When he returned to the scale, he could barely walk. He looked gaunt, ghost-like, completely drained. The scale read 185.2 pounds. Just 0.2 pounds over the championship limit. The Arizona Athletic Commission stepped in and stopped him from cutting any more weight. The fight went ahead as a non-title bout, meaning even if Romero won, he wouldn't become champion. At 42 years old, during that fight, the weight cut was taking a serious toll. Romero has since moved up to light heavyweight, a decision most fans agree was long overdue. Khabib Nurmagomedov gets big between fight camps. His training partners have mentioned that the Dagestani walks around at close to 190 pounds. Cutting from 190 down to 155 is brutal under any circumstances. At UFC 209, Khabib was scheduled to face Tony Ferguson in what would become the most cursed matchup in the sport's history. On the morning of weigh-ins, everything went wrong. The Eagle was rushed to the hospital suffering from severe dehydration and intense liver pain. The fight had to be scrapped. Doctors kept him overnight for observation. This wasn't the first time Khabib had weight issues. He'd missed weight once before at UFC 160, but after the hospitalization at UFC 209, he made serious adjustments to his nutrition and weight management. Khabib made weight successfully in every fight after that and looked much healthier on the scale. Still, fans held their breath every time he stepped on the scale, remembering that hospital trip in 2019. Darren Till's a huge welterweight. His coaches estimate he walks around at 210 pounds between camps. That's a massive weight for a welterweight, let alone when he was competing at 170. The Liverpool native suffered through brutal cuts throughout his welterweight run, but nothing compared to UFC Fight Night 130 against Stephen Thompson. Till missed weight by 3.5 pounds, coming in at 173.5. But the real story came from leaked footage that went viral. The video showed Till lying under piles of blankets in a sauna trying to sweat out water weight. At one point, he went temporarily blind from dehydration. The footage showed Till under blankets, sweating heavily, and at one point his eyes rolled back as he went temporarily blind. Pretty brutal stuff, till eventually moved up to middleweight where he's had better success. The videos still get shared whenever people talk about bad weight cuts. When Conor McGregor stormed through the featherweight division on his way to winning the belt, Fonz got a front row seat to one of the most dangerous cuts in the sport. McGregor would show up at featherweight weigh-ins looking skeletal, bone-thin, with sunken cheeks and veins popping out everywhere. At UFC 194 for his title fight against Jose Aldo, he looked particularly bad. McGregor stepped on the scale at exactly 145 pounds, screaming at the cameras with wild eyes. He appeared fragile, like a strong wind could break him in half. It was a haunting image of how far athletes will go for an advantage. Looking back, knowing McGregor's success at lightweight and welterweight, the featherweight cut seems even crazier. Most fans agree it would be unhealthy and dangerous for him to ever return to 145. McGregor himself has said he'll never cut to featherweight again. A chapter of his career is closed, and probably for the best. On May 6, 2022, Charles Oliveira became the first reigning UFC champion in history to lose his belt on the scale. Oliveira was set to defend his lightweight title against Justin Gaethje at UFC 274 in Phoenix. The night before weigh-ins, he checked his weight on the hotel scale provided by the UFC. He was on weight at 155. He went to bed confident, had no food or water, and prepared for the official weigh-in. When he stepped on the official scale Friday morning, the number came back at 155.5 pounds, half a pound over. Oliveira looked shocked. He was given 1 hour to cut the remaining weight. He went back to his hotel room, got in a hot bath, which he hates, sweated it out, and returned to the scale. The number read 155.5, again, exactly the same. The UFC stripped him of his title on the spot. The fight would go ahead, but only Gaethje could win the belt. If Oliveira won, the title would remain vacant. What made this controversial was the scale situation. Multiple fighters on the card, including Norma Dumont, who also missed weight, claimed the hotel check scale had been recalibrated overnight and was reading half a pound light. Fighters thought they were on weight when they actually weren't. Oliveira's coach, Diego Lima, confirmed they had made weight Thursday night on the UFC scale. They posted about it on social media. But Friday morning, everything was different. The situation became known as Scalegate and sparked debates about whether the UFC should use digital scales instead of beam scales, and whether stripping a champion over half a pound was excessive. Oliveira went out and submitted Gaethje in the first round anyway, becoming the #1 contender for his own belt. But the damage was done. He lost his championship on the scale through no fault of his own. TJ, Dillashaw holds the record for the most dangerous weight cut in UFC history, and it's not even close. After defending his bantamweight title twice against Cody Garbrandt, Dillashaw decided to drop down to flyweight to challenge Henry Cejudo for a second belt. The problem was, Dillashaw was already shredded at 135. Asking him to cut to 125 seemed impossible. When Fight Week arrived in Brooklyn, Dillashaw somehow made the weight, but he looked like he'd been stranded on a desert island for months. Sunken eyes, hollow cheeks, skin stretched tight over his skull. He looked like death. The weigh-in photos went viral. Fans and fighters alike questioned whether TJ would even survive the walk to the octagon. The fight lasted 32 seconds. Cejudo dropped Dillashaw with the first hard shot and finished him on the ground. The referee stopped it, though many thought it was early. But watching the replay, Dillashaw had nothing. He was moving in slow motion. His reactions were gone. His power was gone. The extreme weight cut had destroyed him. Dillashaw admitted afterward that the cut was brutal and affected his performance. He immediately announced he'd return to bantamweight and would never attempt 125 again. Months later, USADA suspended Dillashaw for 2 years after he tested positive for EPO. Many believe he was using performance-enhancing drugs specifically to help survive that weight cut. The sport continues to evolve, with organizations like One Championship implementing hydration testing to eliminate severe cuts. But in the UFC, the weight class system remains the same, and fighters will continue pushing their bodies to the limit. Did we miss a dangerous weight cut?